Dr. Michael Chen had seen thousands of patients during his 15 years as an emergency room physician, but nothing prepared him for the moment when two identical 9-year-old girls were wheeled into his ER on a rainy October evening. Lily and Rose Martinez clutched each other's hands so tightly their knuckles had gone white, their faces twisted in agony that seemed to radiate from somewhere deep within their small bodies. Their mother Maria followed behind, eyes red and swollen from crying. She explained through broken sobs that the girls had been complaining of severe bone pain for weeks, but their previous doctor had dismissed it as growing pains. Tonight they'd collapsed at home, unable to walk, screaming that their bones were on fire from the inside. Michael took one look at the girls and knew this was something far more serious. He ordered immediate blood work and full body scans. While waiting for results, he knelt beside their beds and spoke softly to them. Rose, always the braver of the two, whispered that it felt like someone was breaking their bones from the inside out, over and over again. Then she said something that would change everything. She begged him not to move them because the pain lived inside their bones and went everywhere they went. What Michael discovered next would lead him to make a decision that would shake his entire town and force everyone to question what truly matters more: following rules or saving lives. The test results confirmed his worst fears. Both girls had acute lymphoblastic leukemia, an aggressive cancer attacking their bone marrow. The pain they described was real. The cancer was literally destroying their bones from the inside, causing excruciating agony that standard painkillers could barely touch. They needed immediate chemotherapy, specialized treatment, and a potential bone marrow transplant. The cost would be astronomical. Maria worked 2 jobs as a housekeeper and barely made enough to keep a roof over their heads. She had no insurance that would cover this kind of treatment. The hospital administrator, Richard Sutton, told Michael that the hospital could provide emergency stabilization, but long-term treatment for uninsured patients wasn't financially viable. He suggested transferring them to a county facility 3 hours away. Michael looked at those 2 little girls, their bodies racked with pain, holding each other because it was the only comfort they had, and something inside him snapped. He told Sutton that moving them could kill them, that they needed treatment immediately. Sutton said that wasn't his problem and walked away. That night, Michael did something that went against every rule in the hospital policy manual. He admitted both girls under false insurance information and ordered the expensive chemotherapy drugs. He knew if caught, he'd lose his medical license and probably go to prison. But looking at Lily and Rose, he couldn't find it in himself to care about any of that. For 3 weeks, Michael orchestrated an elaborate deception. He falsified records, forged authorization forms, and personally paid for some medications out of his own pocket. The chemotherapy began to work. The cancer markers started to drop. The pain began to ease. For the first time in months, Lily and Rose smiled. But secrets don't stay buried long. A night shift nurse noticed discrepancies in the twins' files and reported it to administration. Within 24 hours, Sutton had launched a full investigation. He discovered everything and had Michael arrested at the hospital in front of his colleagues. Have you ever had to choose between your career and your conscience, between what's legal and what's right? Sometimes the systems meant to protect us become the very walls that trap the innocent. Keep watching to see how one community decided what mattered most. Michael was charged with insurance fraud, forgery, and theft of medical services. He faced 15 years in prison. The hospital suspended him and began proceedings to revoke his privileges. Sutton gave interviews saying that while he sympathized, the law was the law, and no one was above it. But something unexpected began to happen. Maria went on local television and told her daughter's story. She showed pictures of Lily and Rose before Michael's intervention, writhing in agony, and after, smiling and responding to treatment. She said Michael had saved her daughter's lives when the system had abandoned them. The community erupted in support. A vigil was held outside the courthouse where hundreds showed up with signs reading "Compassion is not a crime" and "Dr. Chen is a hero." Former patients came forward with stories of Michael going above and beyond. A fundraiser for his legal defense raised over $200,000 in 3 days. Local businesses shut down in protest. The town council passed a resolution supporting Michael. Even other physicians admitted they'd done similar things to save patients when the system failed them. National news picked up the story. The pressure became overwhelming. The district attorney found himself in an impossible position. Technically, Michael had broken multiple laws, but prosecuting a doctor for saving children's lives would be political suicide and morally indefensible. The hospital's insurance company, facing a public relations nightmare, quietly agreed to cover the twins' treatment costs. Sutton was asked to resign after it was revealed he'd received bonuses for cutting costs by denying care to uninsured patients. 6 months later, all charges against Michael were dropped. The judge cited necessity defense, ruling that Michael's actions were justified given the immediate threat to the children's lives and the system's failure to provide legal alternatives. The state medical board declined to revoke his license. More importantly, the case sparked statewide legislation. The Lillian Rose Act was passed, mandating that hospitals provide life-saving treatment to all children regardless of insurance status, with the state establishing a fund to reimburse hospitals. It wasn't perfect, but it was a crack in a system that had let too many fall through. Michael returned to work at a different hospital that had recruited him because of his actions, not despite them. Lily and Rose completed their chemotherapy and went into full remission. On the 1-year anniversary of that rainy October night, they visited Michael, walking in on their own, healthy and strong. Rose handed him a drawing they'd made showing a doctor with angel wings standing between 2 little girls and a monster labeled cancer. At the bottom, in careful child's handwriting, it read, "Thank you for not moving us. Thank you for fighting the monster in our bones." Michael hung that drawing in his office where he could see it every day. A reminder that sometimes the most important thing isn't following the rules, but remembering why they exist in the first place. This story is for everyone who's ever had to choose between doing what's right and doing what's safe. It's for every healthcare worker who's seen suffering and refused to look away because paperwork said they should. If this story moved you, if it made you believe that one person's courage can change an entire system, share it with someone who needs hope today. Comment about the doctors, nurses, or everyday heroes who've gone beyond the rules to help you or someone you love. These stories need to be told because they remind us that compassion should never be a crime, that systems serve people, not the other way around, and that sometimes breaking an unjust rule is the most moral thing we can do. We need more people like Dr. Chen, people who see a child in pain and refuse to accept that bureaucracy matters more than life. Be that person in your own way. Stand up for those whose suffering is invisible to systems that only see costs and liability. Question rules that punish kindness. Support those who risk everything to do what's right. Because at the end of our lives, we're not measured by the policies we followed, but by the lives we touched and the courage we showed when it mattered most. The pain may be inside the bones, but the cure lives inside the heart.